Hi ladies and gentlemen, welcome to video 12, Law of Cosines. I want you to notice that our setup in terms of the triangle is exactly the same as law of sines, where we have uppercase A, uppercase B, and uppercase C for our angles, and then going across from those angles, you can see that the sides are labeled as the lowercase version. Now, these are the three formulas, and they really are exactly the same, but the letters are swapped out. And I want you to see the pattern here. So we have A is here, and then angle A is right here. Oh, that's not working. There we go. So notice how those are going to be exactly the same. So if I've got B here, I'm going to have B here. If I've got C here, I'll have C here. And then you should also notice that the other colors are, the B is also here, okay, and then the C shows up twice again. So we've got the C here and the C. So whatever the first letter is, whatever this first letter is, that's going to be the same angle here. And then the remaining two sides go here and here, but they also get repeated here and here. All right, I think we're ready to move forward. I've got Miss Lovelace's dog in the room. I don't know if you can hear him. It's Moose, and he's all freaking out because Miss Lovelace is handing out lunches, and so he's pacing back and forth, and I'm throwing him little treats. I'll keep you updated on the situation. So right now I'm going to throw him a graham cracker. Sit. And catch. He missed it. Okay, grab it. Okay, he's just staring at me. All right, moving forward here. Notice that for a law of cosines, you usually have a side angle side situation where you're given a side, you're given the angle in between, and then you're given the other side. All right, so that's side, angle, side. What I'd like to do first is label things if they're not already labeled. So for example, I'm looking to find side AC. Well, where's AC? It's right here. That is actually going to be labeled as side B. Okay, so there's my side B. Labeling the other ones, I know that across from uppercase A, that's going to give me a lowercase a. And then this side here is going to be my C. Now, over here, I've got three options for formulas. And since I'm solving for B, I am going to use the second one because there's a B in it. So this is going to be B squared equals A squared plus C squared minus 2AC cosine B. And now this is just a matter of plugging right into the formula from all the letters and variables that we're given. So this gives me B squared equals 23 squared plus 14 squared minus 2 parentheses 23, 14. Those are multiplications. And then I've got a cosine of 100 degrees. All right, I do that whole thing in my calculator, and I get roughly 836.829. I'm going to keep that in my calculator, and then I press the second button, and then I press my square root symbol, right? It looks kind of like this. And then I press second, and then answer. Okay, that answer button is... trying to find it. It's where the subtraction sign is, so the answer thing is, it looks like a little subtraction thing. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm putting the more exact version of this into my calculator under the square root. You know, if you're not picky about getting an exact answer, you could literally just take the square root of that if you want. I don't. I keep it in my calculator to get a more precise answer. And that gives me a 28.93. And like I said, if you actually rounded and took the square root of this, then you might get something slightly different than me. Now don't forget to put your units of inches. All right, I'm going to pause and give Moose a graham cracker. You ready? Oh, he missed, but he's eating it now. All right, next one here. Very similar problem here where I'm going to find AB, which in this case is side C. I'm going to label this as my B and then this as my A. Okay, I'm looking for C this time, so I'm going to use this third equation right here. So that's going to be C squared equals A squared plus B squared. Remember, repeat those two letters, minus 2AB, and then it's going to be cosine of this one right here. So that's going to be uppercase C. All right, plugging into that, I get 17 squared plus 13 squared minus 2 times 17 times 13 times cosine of this case is 129. All right, do that math out, and I get C squared is equal to 736.1596. Like I said before, I actually keep that in my calculator. I do the square root and then answer. So I'm basically kind of looks like the square root of the previous answer. But just take the square root of that if you're confused about what I'm talking about, and you're just going to get roughly 27.13 inches. And really, it makes a lot of sense to go back and say, does my answer make sense? Does that make sense for C to be roughly 27? Yeah, absolutely. If we got a more outrageous number, we'd have to stop and say, oh, shoot, I made a mistake somewhere. All right, next problem here, you should notice that we no longer have side, angle, side. We actually have SSS going on here, side, side, side. And we're being asked to find an angle. This is a perfect setup problem for using law of cosines to do that. So I'm going to say, okay, if I'm finding angle A, I've got to choose my first formula, the one with the A in it, because it has a cosine A. So that's going to give me A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine A. All right, plugging in here, you're going to notice this looks a little different because I can actually plug in for my A. I get 28, oops, wrong thing here. Sorry about that. I get 12 squared equals 7 squared plus 13 squared minus 2 times 7 times 13 times cosine A. All right. And if you're confused about where those letters came from, remember, I just go across from A. That's my A. This would be my B, and this would be my C. All right. Now, I highly recommend doing the following. I'd like you to get the answer for this, then the answer for this, and then the answer for this. So obviously 12 squared is going to give me 144. I do the 7 squared plus 13 squared in my calculator, and I get 218. Then I do the 2 times 7 times 13 in my calculator. Make sure you get the minus down there. And I get a 182. That's going to be cosine A. All right, so now I'm just going to solve for the angle by making sure I have cosine A at the end. So I got to get everything on the other side. So for example, I've got to subtract the 218. Okay, 144 minus 218 actually gives me a negative 74. This is gone. Negative 182. You're okay, Moose. And then I've got cosine A here still. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is divide by negative 182 because I want to get cosine A all by itself. So I'm dividing by negative 182. Okay, this cancels here, and I'm left with cosine A is equal to, and the negative over a negative is just positive, so I'm going to write this as 74 over 182. And now at this point you should say, oh, I want to find an angle, so I better take the inverse of both sides. Well, if I take the cosine inverse of this side, it just leaves me with angle A. Okay, and then this is going to be cosine inverse of 74 over 182. Okay, doing that in my calculator, remember, press second then cosine. That's going to leave me with measure of angle A is equal to roughly 66 degrees. All right. Last problem here for law of cosines. Oh, I lied to you. We actually have some harder problems coming up. So this one's very similar to the last one. If you want to pause the video and try it on your own, you're welcome to. I'm just going to run through it a bit faster than the last one. So here I've got side B, side A, side C. I'm looking for angle A, so I've got to write the A formula. Okay, just an update for Moose. He is staring at the door. Poor doggo. Misses his mom. All right, plugging in here, I'm getting a 28 squared equals b squared, which is 24 squared plus 14 squared minus 2 times 24, 14, and that's going to be a cosine of angle A, right? I'm looking for angle A. Again, I recommend doing this math, and this math, and don't forget to write your minus symbol. So 28 squared, where is that? So that's going to give me, sorry about that, 784 equals roughly 772 minus 672 cosine A. Subtract 772 from both sides, obviously. Okay, and that's going to give me a 12, which is equal to, that disappears, negative 672 cosine A. Divide by negative 672, and I get the cosine A. I'm just going to flip this. Cosine A, that cancels, so I just wrote cosine A. And then that's going to be equal to 12 over negative 672. Okay, now I got to take the inverse or cosine inverse of both sides. That's going to give me angle A is equal to cosine inverse of 12 over 672. So that's going to give me, I just plug that right into my calculator, and I get roughly 91.02 degrees, or 91 degrees. And if you look back at your problem, you should really look and say, does that make sense that this would be roughly a 90-degree angle? And the answer is yes. All right, now, what did I say before about how your triangle should look if you're going to find an angle? Did I say side, angle, side, side, angle, angle? What did I say? Yeah, I said side, side, side. But the problem here is that this is actually not. If I'm finding an angle, I need side, 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 but I don't have this side. So guess what? I need to find it first. Well, that's fine, because look at this. This isn't our perfect side angle side. This is in the right shape to solve for a side length. So I'm going to go ahead and I need to find side C first. So that's going to give me C squared equals A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine C. All right, so that's okay, Moose. He's very stressed out. So my C squared is going to be just C squared, right, because I don't have it. And then I'm just plugging in. This is going to give me 24 squared plus 11 squared minus 2 times 24 times 11, and then cosine 110. I do all that in my calculator, and I roughly get around 877.586. Square root that, and I get 29.6. And if you're like, whoa, I got something slightly different, that's because I actually kept the entire number in my calculator when square rooting it. All right, so now that we got that this is 29.6, I can go ahead and erase that and say 29.6. So now I've got that this is my C, this is my A, and this is my B. And again, I'm solving for angle A, so now I need to use my A squared formula. I'm just going to get that down real quickly. All right. Now plugging into that, that's going to give me a 24 squared equals 11 squared plus 29.6 squared minus 2 times, let's see, 11 and 29.6. And then I've got cosine A. Okay, I asked you to find this, this, and this. So 24 squared does in fact give me 576, which is equal to 997.16. And then this whole thing here becomes 651.2 cosine A. All right, subtract the 997.16 from both sides. That's going to disappear here, but over here I'm actually left with a negative 421.16, which is equal to a negative 651.2, and that's going to be cosine A. Okay, divide by that negative 651.2. Okay, these cancel here. And I'm left with a cosine of A, which is equal to, and my negative over negative, no big deal, becomes a 421.16 over 651.2. Now I need to take the inverse of both sides. If I do that to the left side, I just get angle A is equal to, and then I have to do cosine inverse of my 421.16 divided by 651.2. All right, doing that in my calculator, I get the measure of my angle A is equal to roughly 49.7, and I do want you to pause and make sure you get the same thing. And we should make sure that that makes sense, right? If I'm looking for angle A, that's an acute angle. Yes, that does make sense. All right, folks, last one here. We, again, are asked to find an angle, but it's not in side yet. So we actually have to find side B first. So that's going to be a B squared equals A squared plus C squared minus 2AC cosine B. My B is going to be B squared because I don't have it. And then, of course, my A is this one and my C is this one. And it doesn't matter if you mix those up, but just let's keep it consistent. 30 squared plus 27 squared minus 2 times 30 times 27 times cosine of 127. Okay, I get C squared is equal to, let's see, oops, that should be B squared, my bad, no big deal. I get B squared is equal to a number, and then I square root it. Let's see, I get 51. You should check that though, right? So that's kind of nice. It gives me an even number. If you're confused at what I just did 2 steps in a row. I just found this whole thing, and then I square rooted it. All right, now I can go back and I can say that my B is actually 51. And now I need to find angle C. So to do that, I need to write my C squared equals A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine C. All right, plugging into this, I'm getting 27 squared equals 30 squared plus my B squared, which is now 51 squared because I found that in the last problem, minus 2 times 30 times 51, and then cosine C. Finding these 3 sections is next. So 27 squared gives me 729. Which is equal to, and that next thing becomes a 3501. And then the next part becomes a 3060 cosine C. All right, I've got to subtract 3501 from both sides. And obviously disappears here. I am left with a big negative here, negative 2772. Which is equal to my negative 3060 cosine C. I gotta get cosine C by itself, so I've got to divide by that number in front of the cosine C, which is negative 3060. Okay, this cancels. So I am left with a cosine C, which is equal to a negative over a negative, which is a positive. So I'm just gonna write that as 2772 over 3060. And now I'm trying to find an angle, right? So I need to take cosine inverse of both sides. So that would just leave me with angle C is equal to cosine inverse of 2772 divided by 3060. Putting that in my calculator, I get the measure of angle C is roughly 25.06 degrees. And let's just make sure that makes sense. 25.06 for angle C. Sure, that definitely makes sense. All right, y'all, that's it for video 12. Can't wait to see you back for video 13. Moose is doing much better. He's staring at the door, and I think Miss Lovelace is coming back soon. Hope everyone's fantastic. Miss you so much.